What if that constant urge you have to scroll or to watch just one more episode, what if that isn't a character flaw? In this explainer, we're going to reframe that gnawing restlessness not as some kind of weakness, but as a powerful signal that we've all been taught to misread.
So let's just jump right in with a question that, honestly, a lot of us are kind of afraid to ask ourselves. Why are you always restless? You know the feeling. You finish a great series, and boom, you're immediately looking for the next one. You scroll through your feed for an hour, but you still feel that little itch for just 5 more minutes. What is that all about?
I want to tell you something that might sound a little crazy at first. That feeling, it's not weakness. It's not you failing at discipline or not having enough willpower.
And, we usually just call it boredom, but that's kind of a lazy word for it, isn't it? See, boredom is temporary. This feeling, this is something deeper. It's a persistent ache. It's a spiritual signal we've been taught our whole lives to get wrong, or even worse, to just ignore.
So, that feeling is not weakness, it is not boredom, it is your spirit literally screaming for the one thing it was designed for, the presence of God. It's a divine hunger, a spiritual signal we've all been trained to misinterpret.
Think about it. What we call needing a break, or just relaxing with some supposedly harmless entertainment, that's often this deep, profound spiritual hunger. And because we've never been taught how to actually answer it, we just medicate it, we numb it. And folks, that is exactly how addictions are born.
The thing is, we've all been handed a great misdiagnosis. We're told that entertainment is neutral. It's just a preference, part of your personality. But the Bible sees it completely differently. In 2 Timothy, it actually warns of a time when people will become lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. That's not neutral. That's a choice of where you put your devotion.
And this brings us to this absolutely crucial idea of substitution. Now, pleasure itself isn't the problem here. The danger comes when it stops being an addition to your life and becomes a replacement for God's presence in your life. It's like the difference between having a snack and trying to live on a diet of nothing but sugar.
And when we start making those substitutions, it leads us right into this super frustrating and exhausting loop. Let's call it the emptiness cycle. Let's break down exactly why these temporary pleasures, these substitutions, can never, ever truly satisfy that deep hunger we all feel.
So at the very heart of this cycle is a pretty profound theological idea. This inner emptiness, this void we feel, it isn't a flaw. It wasn't caused by sin. It's a feature, not a bug. It was put there by design, a God-shaped hole that only He can fill. You can think of it as a kind of homing signal for your soul.
And Scripture is crystal clear on where real satisfaction is found. Psalm 16:11 says, "In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore." Notice it doesn't say in distraction or in escape. The true source of lasting, real pleasure is present.
So this is the cycle that so many of us are trapped in. First, you feel that restlessness. Second, you instinctively reach for some kind of entertainment to soothe it. Third, you get that temporary hit, right? A moment of relief. But then, fourth, the emptiness comes roaring back, and it's often even stronger than it was before. And you know why? Because you tried to feed an eternal void with a temporary pleasure.
Let's just put these two side by side. Entertainment? It offers momentary ecstasy. God's presence, on the other hand, offers lasting fullness. One gives you a temporary pleasure. The other gives eternal joy. And here's the absolute key difference. Entertainment feeds the appetite, which just makes you hungrier, but presence actually fills the void. This is the engine that drives binging and endless scrolling, a hunger that gets fed but is never, ever satisfied.
So, how in the world do we break this cycle? Well, it's not about just white-knuckling it or trying to suppress the craving. No, it's about something way more powerful. It's about retraining your desire by learning how to translate what you're actually feeling.
The turning point here isn't about having more willpower. It's about a total change in perspective. You have to stop shaming yourself for the craving. Instead, start seeing it like a message written in a foreign language. Your job isn't to silence the message, it's to learn how to translate it.
So here's the new script. This is what you literally say to yourself the next time you feel it. This feeling, this isn't boredom, this is hunger. This is my spirit crying out for its inheritance, for the fullness of joy that is my portion in the Lord. You are actively reinterpreting the signal.
And when you do that, it leads to a really practical shift in your behavior. The old response, the automatic one, was to open an app, start scrolling, and just numb the feeling. The new, retrained response is to open your mouth in prayer, to call on the Lord, and to intentionally enter His presence instead.
Think about it this way. Suppression is like trying to dam up a powerful river. It takes a ton of effort, and eventually, that dam is going to break. Redirection, though, is like digging a new channel for that same river, harnessing all its power for something life-giving. You don't defeat the desire, you redirect it to its true source.
And this brings us to our final, and honestly our most powerful section, finding true fullness. This isn't just about stopping a bad habit. It's about replacing one devotion with another one that is far, far greater.
Let's redefine addiction for a second, through a spiritual lens. It's not just a bad habit, it's a misplaced devotion. The Bible tells us that whatever you yield to becomes your master. So when entertainment is your automatic go-to response for restlessness, it quietly takes the throne of your heart and becomes the master that you serve. So the solution then isn't just to kick pleasure off the throne and leave it empty. It's to enthrone something or someone else. You defeat addiction at its very root by actively replacing your devotion to these temporary fixes with a new, all-consuming devotion to God's presence. You literally learn to crave righteousness more than you crave relief.
Look, if you hear nothing else in this entire explainer, please hear this. That craving, the one that has caused you so much shame, it is not your enemy. It is the built-in, God-given proof that you were designed for more. It is evidence that your soul knows, deep down, that it was made for a relationship with God.
So it all just comes down to this one thing. The hunger was never the problem. That desire for joy and for fullness is a God-given feature of your soul. The problem is that we've been trying to feed a divine hunger with gravel, when true satisfying nourishment was available the whole time.
And so, that brings us right back to where we started, but now with a totally new understanding. The next time you feel that restless pull, now that you know what it's really called, how will you answer your hunger?